Hello, and welcome to What is Crypto? I'm Matt, and this is Crypto. Today, I'm going to be talking to you about KASPA, ticker signal KAS. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the market, where KASPA is at the moment, where Bitcoin is at the moment, KASPA Bitcoin pairs, Bitcoin dominance, and then I'm going to talk about the path I think KASPA is going to take fairly shortly. So if this sounds like it could be for you and you're bullish on KASPA, smash that like button, drop a comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Cheers, legends. I appreciate it. I appreciate you. Now let's get into it. All right, so firstly, at the market, we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. Now, as you know, everything in the market follows Bitcoin. So very simply put, Bitcoin's moves are amplified across the overall market. Now, what we want to see in crypto for growth is higher lows and higher highs. So here we've got a low and then a high. And then our next low is higher, and then our next high is higher. So you've got a high there, and then a higher 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 high there, a higher low, equal low, higher low, higher low. So you want to see higher highs and higher lows put in. Alrighty, so looking at Bitcoin on the daily, what we can see is that since February the 28th, we have been in this range. Now we've been forming a bull flag. However, we've been printing lower highs and lower lows. So that's the opposite of what we want to see. So we had our high here at 73K. Next high was kind of down 71, 72K, down around that mark, getting slowly lower and lower, down to around the 68K mark, then the 64K mark. And conversely, with our lows, we had 61K, 60K, 57K, 54K, 48K. Now, what we've just printed here is potentially our first higher low. Now, it's too early to say, of course, as here we could have argued that this was a higher low. So it will take about a week or so before we know. What we want to see is for Bitcoin to break above 64K. Now, I don't mind if it chops around here for a bit, as long as we don't go below 49K. I think the trend has been broken, and that is a great thing. So as long as we stay above 49K, that's wonderful. Ideally, I want to stay above these two candle closes here, which is 54K. So that's a huge level of support. Now you can see you've got a bit of an order block in here. It all lines up. So below this level, everything is bought up fairly quickly. So we really want to hold up 54K where we do have a wall of support. What we do want to see, just to clarify, is us holding over the 54K mark. And ideally, I'd love to see us print above a 65K mark. Now, I'd be happy if that happens in 2-3 weeks, as long as we don't break below the 54K mark and hold below there for a daily close, and as long as we don't have a candle that wicks below our 49, 48.8 mark. So that is Bitcoin out of the way. Bitcoin potentially printing its first higher low, although it's still too early to call, which is great news for the markets if it is a higher low. And that could mean that leading up to the elections, leading up to a lot of big catalysts, we've got the US debate between Kamala Harris and Trump. We've got the actual election between Harris and Trump, which will have huge implications on the market. Not going to get into politics, but I think if you're in crypto, you know who you want to win for crypto related reasons. We've got the FOMC meetings, we've got CPI data, we have hopefully a Fed cut being announced by Powell. The market's currently pricing in a 25-point cut. Potentially a 50-point cut could happen though. Now, this could already be priced in. So either way, I think expect a lot of volatility around the CPI and inflation data. But what I'm trying to get across is we have a lot of things to be excited for in crypto. So although crypto's been really boring since February and we have been in a little bit of a downtrend, there has never been a time to be more excited about crypto, in my opinion. We have ETFs, we have institutional adoption, we have BlackRock buying, we have Bitcoin getting added to pension funds. We have lots of big whales accumulating. We have countries starting to talk about adding Bitcoin to their balance sheets. Now, this stuff, like in 2021, this was crazy. This was a fever dream. So I think although it has been boring since February and people are a bit disenfranchised with crypto at the moment, I don't think there has been too many more exciting times in the crypto space. Alrighty, so that is Bitcoin out of the way. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this video, which is of course KASPA. So KASPA, biggest holding, most bullish coin by far. I'm a massive KASPA bull. If you couldn't tell, if you watch this channel, you're probably familiar with how much I love KASPA. Now, descending triangles, breakout, massive pump, descending triangles, breakout, massive pump. Now we have had these two pretty key levels around the 17 cent mark and around the 14.7 cent mark, which we've kind of been chopping around, bounced up, held above, and then we've been chopping around for a little while. Now I did draw two paths out with where I thought KASPA was going. So path A, which was breaking below the 15 cent mark for a brief period of time before going up to the 17.5 cents, breaking above it, retesting it, and then continuing on to the upside. Now that has us reaching at the end of November at around the 38.40 cent mark. Now that was option A. Option B was that we had one more big flush sell-off to around the 12.5 cent mark, and then we continued the same trajectory. Either way, if Bitcoin is doing well and crypto is doing well, I think we do get to around the 40 cent mark by mid to late November. Now, I don't think it's going to be exactly on the 26th of November that the price of Bitcoin will be 38.8 cents. But I do think given how markets act, given how KASPA has acted, and given general support and resistance levels, I do think that something like this could play out. So that's where I'm putting my money in personally. And I think we're going with option A at the moment. So what I'm looking to do now, as we didn't get the flush down to 27 cents, is I'm going to wait till we break above 17 cent mark to around the 18 cents. And then I'm going to be buying the retest at 17 cents. Now, you might go, well, if you're going to buy the retest at 17 cents, why don't you just buy now at 16 cents? Because there is still a possibility that we do flush out to 12.7 cents, which is where I'll buy. And I feel more comfortable breaking above this level of resistance, holding it there as support, and then bidding there, as I think that is generally showing more positive moves for the market. So that's just what I'm looking to do. Although I do think buying anywhere between these two marks is probably a fairly good bet for now. I do think that we have KASPA going somewhere between $1 at the bearish side up to $5 at the most bullish side. My estimate is probably somewhere around the $1.20 to $2.80 mark. You can check out my Twitter account, which I'll link in the comment section. I've got a fair few posts where I detail that. So yeah, that's kind of where I see KASPA going in the near term, with us having some pretty good price growth up to the end of November. Now, around the Christmas period, there might be a bit of a lull, and then I think we really rip when it comes to next year. Now we're going to have a quick look at Bitcoin dominance as always. Now, Bitcoin dominance, I'll go over it as I haven't made a video in a little while, but Bitcoin dominance, if you're not familiar, is the correlation between Bitcoin and altcoins. So when Bitcoin dominance drops off, that really indicates altcoin season and the parabolic growth of altcoins. In this time period, although Bitcoin dominance is going down, the price of Bitcoin is going up, but the price of altcoins in general are going up at a faster rate. So what we usually see is we see the halving about 6 or so months after the halving, but then this drop off indicated altcoin season. So it's happened not precisely, but it has happened the last two halvings roughly. Here we did have a drop down, then another push back up of Bitcoin dominance. So as you can see now, we've been in this upwards trend since February. This is the same time that Bitcoin has been chopping around and altcoins have been bleeding. So 6 months after this, we'll have something like this. I think we break below this channel, hold around there, and then when we see this sharp drop off, that should indicate that altcoins are having their parabolic run. So during this time, I think everything with even the slightest bit of interest is absolutely going to rip. Retail is going to come back in. There's going to be so much FOMO. There's also this cycle going to be institutional FOMO, in my opinion, which is something that we haven't really seen before. So something to be super excited for. So that is Bitcoin versus the general market. So Bitcoin versus the market is currently going up and the market is bleeding. Now looking at the KASPA Bitcoin pairs, so this shows the strength of KASPA versus Bitcoin. So when the chart is going down, Bitcoin is outperforming KASPA. When the chart is going up, KASPA is outperforming Bitcoin. So since around April, we have had an outperformance of KASPA versus Bitcoin, although around the last couple of months, we've been holding fairly steady. So KASPA though, if you've held it since April, you're doing better than holding Bitcoin. So very promising to see. It is one of the most bullish charts out there in the dominance pairs. Almost everything else versus Bitcoin is bleeding. Look at Say versus Bitcoin, look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, look at almost everything versus Bitcoin, and KASPA has a stronger chart. So really promising to see. And not only does the KASPA Bitcoin pairs look really good, and the KASPA chart look really good, but there's so much to be bullish on with KASPA coming up. We've got KRC20 coming up. We have massive exchange listings coming up. We have so much to be excited for. So personally, I'm adding to my KASPA bags if we get a drop to 12.7 cents, or I'm adding at the 17 cent retest. Really happy with the amount of KASPA I have, and if I didn't already have a pretty big bag, then I would be adding around these levels, as anything below the 17 cent, I think long term is going to be a pretty good buy. Alrighty, that's going to wrap it up for me today. I haven't made a video in a little while, so if I'm a little bit rusty, feel free to let me know. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. Say hello if I haven't seen you in a while or chatted to you in a while. I'll reply to all your comments. As always, I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next one.